Today in English literature with Susan, I want to talk about a short but very famous poem by Langston Hughes, the American poet related to Harlem Renaissance. Therefore, before reading the poem, we have to discuss and explain the significance of the title Harlem. After this, the Civil War, the American Civil War, many of the Afro-Americans migrated from the southern parts of the country or from those cotton plantations, those so-called cotton plantations, which were one of the most important origins of the Civil War, to the industry of the North. In the North, there were needed a, a great workforce because there were many factories and okay, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter whether you're black or white. They needed a workforce for many different reasons. For example, to build the intercontinental railroad, or to different construction sites, or as I told you, the factories. So a big kind of movement of the Afro Americans happened, and many of them started to locate themselves in Harlem, a location, a very famous location, or a district, we can say, but a city within a city in New York City. So Harlem was a place in which many of these Afro Americans lived, but it was a cultural center. The cultural center for introducing and let's say embedding the Afro-American art and culture and tradition into the flow of the American life. So they wanted to emulate into the American society. Therefore, Harlem is important as a center of dream, as a place in which hopes and idealisms of many of these Afro Americans are located. So, the Harlem itself is a space, we can say, is a potential place in which many dreams are undergoing. And Langston Hughes, in this poem Harlem, talks about the deferment of this dream, that whether Harlem, this location and this cultural embeddedness, can change the condition of the Afro-Americans, or does the dream of becoming American, to be considered, to be acknowledged as part of the history of the country and the nation, is going to happen or not, is kind of represented in this poem. So the poem begins with a question: what happens to a dream deferred? And then a dream that you all the time have for many centuries maybe, but it never comes true. And then in answer to this question, he provides a series of options. Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? So sometimes our dreams, which are deferred, can dry up like a raisin in the sun. The expression "a raisin in the sun" is later on used by Lauren Hansberry, the Afro-American dramatist, and partly related to the movement, to the Harlem Renaissance, though she was a critic of the movement as well. But the play is very interesting. You can read it, or you can watch a movie which is produced based on that story. Or fester like a sore and then run. So like a wound, would it run like bleeding and all those things which are pressured into it? Can they come out like a sore, like a wound? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? So these are questions. So there are other options as well. Maybe it just sinks like a heavy load. Maybe it's totally forgotten, or maybe when it can just crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet. It seems that it is remained in there, um, like not moving for too long, so it has become crust over or sugar, like a syrupy sweet. Or maybe it's thinking in a way. So it is no more a dream, it's a nightmare if these things happen to it. Or does it explode? Like the cultural movements of the Afro Americans, like the identity crisis they undergone after the Second World War and also after the First World War. So, or many movements related to the power of the Afro Americans. They were fighting all the time against racism. So maybe it will explode like like a rebellious movement one day. So the poem starts with a question and it ends with a question. It doesn't provide alternatives, but these questions are of course thought provoking, so we can think about them. And all of these options are kind of available. So this was my explanation about this poem. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in my next videos.